All right. Good afternoon, students. Today we are going to discuss past question papers and related areas of international trade. Let's have a look at what is the main content of the international trade. I have been given only 2 hours to discuss the entire chapter. So I'll be looking at some important areas of the international trade and past question papers and how do you answer the past question papers. So because of the time limitation, we don't have a chance to discuss the concepts in detail. However, I will try to explain some important concepts as much as possible in a way that you answer your questions properly in the coming exam. Before everything, I need to share something important. When you do your studies for level 1 question paper, my subject, special economics, make sure that you study the study text. Except last 3 question papers or last 3 exam papers, I am the one who prepared answers to the question paper. I'm not the paper setter. I'm the one who prepared answers to the question paper. When I go through the question papers and the study text, I usually put everything from the study text. So therefore, we don't usually make any single question from the outside. But you don't change your style of learning. Your teachers and other lecturers, they have done a big job. You don't change the style of learning and answering the question because of my lecture. Take everything as an additional things to your knowledge. That is my advice. Before we come to the past question papers, let's discuss the basic concepts of the international trade. So what do you mean by international trade? In your study text, I have taken the study text here. In your study text, they have started by defining the international trade. But international trade and international economic activities are 2 different matters. The meaning of international trade is to exchange goods and services with other countries. That is, export and import. Basically, the international trade consists of 2 parts. One is export, the other one is import. You know the meaning of export. Export is selling goods to another country. Import goods, you purchase goods from another country. So that is the basic idea of the international trade. But international trade sometimes confused with international economic activities. There are other economic activities in addition to exports and imports. Foreign aids, sometimes we get foreign factor income, we pay factor income, loans for indirect investment. So likewise, there are other international activities, foreign activities. But remember, international trade is confined only for exports and imports. That is the meaning of international trade. So then, why do countries involved in international trade? What are the reasons for the international trade? When you look at the reasons for the international trade, you can easily recognize certain reasons for the international trade. Number 1, just assume that you are not producing a particular product within the country. Now in Sri Lanka, petroleum, right? We don't produce inside the country. So then we have to buy it from another country. That is one reason for countries to involve in international trade. Why? Some goods are not produced by the country. So those goods should be taken from another country, purchased from another country. That is, we have to import it. That is one reason. The second reason, sometimes we produce some goods in excess quantities. We produce within the country more than the required amount. So then we have excess of goods, we can sell them to another country or the rest of the world and earn income. That is the second reason we are involved in the international trade. In addition to that, if you look at the third reason, if there's a shortage of goods in the country, you produce some good now, these days we are talking about coconut production, harvest, right? We have problem, a shortage, rice, right? Sometimes eggs, a shortage of goods we have. We produce within the country, but there is no sufficient supply within the country. Then if there is a shortage of goods in a country, we buy goods from the other countries. That is another reason. Technological purpose. Sometimes we engage in international trade to abstract technology or gain technological advantage. Sometimes we purchase goods from another country or sell goods to another country. Export and imports activities are carried out because of the international relationship as a result of the investment opportunities to attract your investment. So sometimes like foreigners, they invest in our country. Because of the relationship, we buy and sell goods with those countries. So likewise, there are certain reasons for the international trade. Those are general reasons. Now we can turn to one important segment of the question paper. I think you already have done this part with your teachers or the lecturers. Absolute advantage and the comparative advantage. How do they set this question? They raise this question, what are the reasons for international trade? But they ask theoretical reasons for the international trade. I repeat it. What are the theoretical reasons for the international trade? Or simply, what theories support to make international trade between two or more countries? Then you answer, according to your syllabus, there are the theories, but according to your syllabus, there are two theoretical reasons or two theories support you to involve in international trade. What are those? Number one, absolute advantage theory. Number two, comparative advantage theory. You better take it down. There are two theoretical reasons. There are two theoretical reasons for the international trade. Number one, absolute advantage theory. Or you can say absolute advantage. Absolute advantage. Number two, comparative advantage. Comparative advantage. Okay. Let's look at these two theories separately. Let's come to absolute advantage theory. Just assume that Sri Lanka and India, two countries we take, two countries. These two countries produce rice. How much is the cost for 1 kilo of rice? Let's say 200 rupees, just assume. Sri Lanka produces 1 kilo of rice by spending 200 rupees. India produces the same quality, identical product, rice, but cost 250. So then Sri Lanka can produce rice at the lowest cost compared to India. I hope you understood. Now Sri Lanka and India produce rice with identical resources. Just assume that same currency, right? Our cost is 200 rupees per kilo, but their cost is 250 per kilo. When you compare cost comparison, right? If you make a cost comparison between Sri Lanka and India, Sri Lanka can produce rice at the lowest cost compared to India. Then Sri Lanka has absolute advantage in the production of rice. Very simple, right? But this concept can be explained in terms of the output. Earlier I used input or the cost. So what do you mean by compared to advantage? Absolute advantage. Absolute advantage refers to the production of goods and services at the lowest cost compared to another country, right? But if you take output, for example, right? Just assume that Sri Lanka and India produce rice with the same amount of input. But Sri Lanka can produce 5 kilos with the same amount of input. But India produces only 2 kilos with the same input, right? Then Sri Lanka can produce rice with more efficiency. That is, we make more output compared to India. That is another way that you can look at the absolute advantage. Please take a small note on this. Absolute advantage refers to the situation where a country produces a product at the lowest cost or more efficiently compared to another country. Under the absolute advantage, or you can say absolute advantage can be recognized. Absolute advantage can be recognized based on cost or output. Right. Give me 1 second. I will share my screen. It's time. Yes. Okay. Let's see. Right, students, in learning absolute advantage, We have only one product. Price. Cost. Output. Or production. Cost. High cost or low cost. Output. Highest output. Lowest output. And remember, absolute advantage is available for the country where you produce at the lowest cost or with highest output. If you are given a question to recognize absolute advantage, you may be given cost you incur to produce 1 unit or output you produce by using certain amount of input. I repeat. You are given cost you incur to produce 1 unit or the output you produce by using certain amount of inputs. If you are given cost, the lowest cost. Country which produces the product at the lowest cost has the absolute advantage. What happened to the other country? Other country has absolute disadvantage. I repeat. The country which produces goods at the lowest cost has absolute advantage. The other country has absolute disadvantage. On the same basis, the country which produces the highest output has absolute advantage. The other country has absolute disadvantage. I assume that you can understand, you can recognize absolute advantage in terms of cost and output. Okay. Let's look at one example, past question paper. Give me 1 second. July 2024 question paper. I'll take. Give me 1 second, I'll share it. Yes. Here, country A and country B. This is 2024 July. Question number 5. Part B. Country A and country B. Country A and country B produce both product P and Q. The following table shows the units of P and Q, which can be produced by 1 unit of labor of both countries. Now, what are the countries here? Country A and country B. Now, you have to decide which country has the absolute advantage in product P and product Q. So, when you talk about the absolute advantage in the production of P, disregard Q. Look, I will remove this one. Then you can easily understand this concept. Remember, when you decide the absolute advantage, no need to have two goods. Right. Now, country A, country B. Students, remember, this is very important. Here in this question, you are given output, not the input, not the cost. Now, you can remember, I mentioned, if you are given output, highest output. Now, country A produces 4 units, but country B produces 21 units. So then which country has the absolute advantage in the production of P? Country B. Why? Country B produces 21 units, but country A produces only 4 units. Then country B produces more output than country A. So just take down, country B has absolute advantage in the production of P. Right. Let's look at the other product. Product Q. Then product Q, disregard P. Think of country A and B and product Q. Country A produces 12 units. Country B produces 7 units. Now if you compare A and B, A produces more output than B. So then country A has absolute advantage in production of Q. Take it down, your answer. Your answer, country A has absolute advantage in the production of Q. Okay. This is our first question. In 1 second, I'll share another question. Right. $24. January question. Question number 5. China and Argentina. Now look, part C, question number 5. This is for 2024 January question paper. Argentina and China produce both corn and rice. The following table shows the unit of corn and rice which can be produced by 1 unit of labor of both the countries. Now, 2 countries, corn production and rice production. Look, Argentina 24, but China 4. Rice production 12 and 8. Explain why which country has the comparative advantage in the production of each product. Support your answer with calculations. But here they are talking about comparative advantage. Now, since I have not discussed comparative advantage yet, so you can answer this question. Now just tell me, which country has the absolute advantage for each product? Now compare corn production, Argentina and China. Argentina produces 24 units. So then Argentina produces more than China. Then Argentina has absolute advantage in corn production. How about the rice production? Rice production same. Argentina produces 12, but China produces only 8 units. Now see this situation, this example, this past question paper is very important. I can bring you to another important point. What is the now? How does the international trade is organized, right? How do the how do countries involved in international trade under the absolute advantage theory? I repeat, how do countries, just take down as a question, how do countries involve in international trade or engage in international trade under the absolute advantage theory or under the absolute advantage? Right. My students, remember, if a particular country involves or engages in international trade, that country should have absolute advantage. If a particular country doesn't have absolute advantage, it doesn't involve in the international trade. Now, according to this example question, not example question, the past paper question, Argentina has absolute advantage for both products. How about China? China doesn't have absolute advantage. So they then, according to this example, according to this information, China doesn't involve in international trade. Why? It doesn't have absolute advantage, right? Just assume that Argentina has absolute advantage for corn production, China has absolute advantage for rice production, then they involve in the international trade. But how do they organize? What product they are going to export and what product they are going to import? Remember, students, very important. If a particular country has absolute advantage for a product, so they export, they produce that product in excess quantity and export the product to another country and import the goods which they do not have absolute advantage, right? I think I made complicated. I'll explain you simply. In this example, just assume that, right? Argentina has absolute advantage for corn production. China has absolute advantage for rice production. Just assume that here, but with these figures, you can't. Then China makes excess amount of rice and export them to Argentina because China has absolute advantage for rice. How about Argentina? Argentina has absolute disadvantage for rice. So then Argentina doesn't allocate resources for rice production. Argentina does makes corn production with all the resources, but they have excess amount of corn. They export them to China and import rice from China. So that is the way that the international trade is organized under the absolute advantage theory or the absolute advantage. You export the product for which you have absolute advantage and you import the product for which you have absolute disadvantage. I repeat, you export the product for which you have absolute advantage, you import the product for which you have absolute disadvantage. So this is the way you organize your international trade under the absolute advantage theory. Right. I will quickly look at comparative advantage. Now, in our previous question, one country has absolute advantage for both goods, or they had the absolute advantage for both, but the other country doesn't have. Now what happened? If you don't have absolute advantage, you don't involve in international trade. But comparative advantage is another alternative theory. you don't worry. Even though you don't have absolute advantage, even though you can't produce a product at the lowest cost compared to another country, you have another option. Check whether you have or you can produce a product at the lowest opportunity cost compared to another country. Now, new concept comes here, opportunity cost. Earlier we compare cost, the single name cost, single term. Here, opportunity cost. You compare how much is the opportunity cost you incurred for one product. How much is the opportunity cost you incurred for the other product? Right? If a country can produce a product at the lowest opportunity cost compared to another country, the first country has absolute advantage compared to advantage. Sorry. I repeat. Shall we take it down slowly? Yeah. Comparative advantage refers to the situation where a country produces a product or service. Writing rate, very important. A service at the lowest opportunity cost. Very important. At the lowest opportunity cost compared to another country. If someone asks what is the difference between, or how do you recognize absolute advantage and the comparative advantage, the difference. Here in the absolute advantage, we did not calculate opportunity cost. But in the comparative advantage, you have to calculate the opportunity cost. In order to calculate opportunity cost, you should have two goods. That's why I told you earlier, use only one product, close the other one and decide which country has the absolute advantage, low cost or a high output. But in comparative advantage, you have to have two goods, otherwise you can't calculate opportunity cost. Right. Before I come to the comparative advantage, I will quickly show you how to calculate opportunity cost of a product. I hope you all have done this in chapter 1. Anyway, I'll share my whiteboard. Right. When you go through your past question papers, usually you have some identical questions. You are given output and calculate opportunity cost. But for the learning purpose, I'll teach you two methods to calculate the opportunity, but don't confuse with my calculation on the equation. You use the output method, right? Opportunity cost. Opportunity cost can be calculated. Now you are given sometime cost of the product. You are given most of time output. Most of time output. Right. Disregard this one, because most of past question papers, right, don't deal with this part. Output. How do you calculate the opportunity cost where output is given? Product X. I don't take much time. Product X. The amount you sacrificed, that is delta Y, and the amount you increase, delta X. Opportunity cost of product Y. You increase Y production. You sacrificed X production. This is the simple way that you calculate opportunity cost. Opportunity cost of X, how do you calculate? Change in Y divided by change in X. Opportunity cost of Y, change in X divided by change in Y. Right. This is an additional point just for the learning purpose. I'll teach you opportunity cost where cost is given. Right? X, opportunity cost of X. Remember, my children, very important. Cost of X. See? Cost of Y. But the point, let's say, price of a book. Price of a book, 40 rupees. Just assume. Price of a pen, 10 rupees. Now, if you want to calculate the price of opportunity cost of each, now, let's say you are calculating opportunity cost of a book, then B equals, look at children, cost of B. Cost of B is 40. You bring 40 rupees, then cost of pen, 10. Now your answer is 4. What do you mean by that? One book equals 4 pens. Correct. Clear? Right? Then opportunity cost of X equals cost of X divided by cost of Y. Cost of X means you bring, now in my example, you bring 40 rupees, which was available to purchase a book. How many pens you can purchase? If you go with 40 rupees, you can come with 4 pens, right? So then 1B equals 4P, correct. One book equals 4 pens. But I don't think that your question paper is focused on this. Just forget this one, but learn it, right? Focus on this one. Opportunity cost of X equals delta Y divided by delta X. Opportunity cost of Y equals delta X divided by delta Y. Just assume that you produce in this example question. Assume that country A produces X products 1,000. Y products 5,000, then maximum production. Just assume. Try the equations now. Opportunity cost of X, how do you write the equation? Delta Y divided by delta X. I just put minus to show that you sacrifice. Huh? No need to put minus there all the time when you calculate it. But I just wanted to show you that you sacrifice one product to increase the other. Right. Opportunity cost of X equals amount you sacrifice. How much you sacrifice? You sacrifice total Y production. That is 5,000. And you increase X production by 1,000. To increase X production by 1,000, you have to sacrifice 5,000 of Y. Then your answer is 5. One X equals 5Y. If you write in words, opportunity cost, take it down. Opportunity cost of 1 unit of X is 1 unit of X is 5 units of Y. 5 units of Y. How do you calculate? Okay, take 2 minutes and calculate the opportunity cost of Y. Yeah, try to make it. opportunity cost of Y. Yes, opportunity cost of Y. Y equals, you sacrifice X. How much? 1,000. Increase Y. Quantity, 5,000. 1 over 5. Or you can say 0.2. 1Y equals 0.2X. This is your opportunity cost. This is your opportunity cost. I hope you understood the concept. Let's quickly look at the past question paper. Earlier. 24 January. Okay, good. Calculate opportunity cost of each product in each country. And remember, you have to take your figures correctly to calculate the opportunity cost. Otherwise, you make mistake. When you calculate opportunity costs of each product in China, okay, how do you do that? Assume that the other country is not available. Now China, corn and rice. I will do this here. C equals delta rice divided by delta corn. Delta R divided by delta C. Rice units, 8 units you sacrifice. Corn 4. Your answer is 2. Answer is 2. Opportunity cost of corn is 2. I will write answer here. Opportunity cost of rice, other way around. How do you calculate? Here, rice. Rice, you sacrifice C. Sacrifice C, increase R. Then, opposite of that, other way around. 4 divided by 8. Then you answer half. Right? 0.5. This is the opportunity cost. I have written here opportunity cost in blue. Final answer. It's not hard to calculate. It's very easy. This is the opportunity cost. Okay. Now let's go to look at the other country. Other country, opportunity cost of 4. Argentina, look. Right here the equation. C equals, remember students, delta R divided by delta C. Delta R divided delta R. Rice 12. Corn 24. Then your answer 0.5. Here the opportunity cost of this product 0.5. Good. The other one, you don't want to calculate. I can directly give you the answer. That is 2. To save my time. Right. Now, my children, look at the table. Take a little time and look at the table. Disregard these values. previous output. Now we have calculated opportunity cost of each product. Clear? Write it down. Write it down in the table form. Yes. Argentina 0.5 for corn. The production, the opportunity cost for 1 unit of corn. Rice 2 units. China for corn 2 units. Rice 0.5. Right. Now, which country has the lowest opportunity cost for corns? Argentina. Which country has the lowest opportunity cost for rice? China. Now, that's easy. So we started by saying that only one country has absolute advantage. Argentina had absolute advantage in the production of both goods. China didn't have. So then China, under the absolute advantage, China did not involve in international trade in this example. But I told you, compared to advantage, even though you don't have absolute advantage, don't worry. You may have compared to advantage. It is the alternative method advantage. Now, in order to recognize compared to advantage, we have to calculate opportunity cost. Now we calculated the opportunity cost of each product in each country. Now, here explain which country has the comparative advantage in production of each product. Support your answer with calculations. Now, you know calculations, we already done it. Right. Let's take down the answer. Let's take down the answer. Now, I'm giving you this answer by using the information in the table. Right. Write it down. Argentina produces corn at the lowest opportunity cost compared to China. Argentina produces corn at the lowest opportunity cost compared to China. Therefore, Argentina has comparative advantage in the production of corn. Argentina has comparative advantage in the production of corn. On the other hand, China produces rice at the lowest opportunity cost compared to Argentina. On the other hand, China produces rice at the lowest opportunity cost compared to Argentina. Therefore, China has comparative advantage in the production of rice. In the production of rice. Right. How do they organize their international trade under the comparative advantage then? China produces, or China has absolute comparative advantage in the rice production. Then usually China allocates entire resources, now this is a theoretical thing, right? More resources to make rice. And China produces excess quantity of rice, more than the required amount. And they export rice to Argentina. At the same time, remember, China has absolute comparative disadvantage, not advantage, disadvantage in the production of corns. Then China imports corns from Argentina, right? So you can make the Argentina trade other way around. Argentina exports corns to China and imports rice from China. That is the way of transaction. I hope you understand. There are certain areas to discuss, but for your syllabus, according to your syllabus and your understand what's the level of testing the subject, this is more than enough, right? If you do your A-levels and other exams, we can learn some more other advanced areas under this comparative advantage and the absolute advantage. Most of questions, I don't take unnecessary time to show you the question and take your time to explain them. They always ask which country has the absolute advantage, which country has the comparative advantage. But make sure that you always support with the calculation where comparative advantage is given, right? If you are given comparative advantage, you always calculate the opportunity cost. Calculate the opportunity cost, you know how to calculate the opportunity cost. When you calculate the opportunity cost, you have to use two goods, but absolute advantage, we use only one product, but two countries. But the other way around, we use for the comparative advantage, one country, two goods. One country, two goods. Remember that. Absolute advantage, one product, two countries. You have to compare cost of output of one product with two countries. To calculate the opportunity cost, you take two goods of one country, but again you compare opportunity cost of one country with the other. I hope you understood. In the study text, page number 169, 70, 71, those are the areas cover. Okay, let's quickly look at another important concept, terms of trade. Terms of trade. There are certain concepts under the terms of trade, but according to your syllabus, I limit only for the conceptual matters explained in the study text. So what do you mean by terms of trade? The simple meaning of the terms of trade. How do I explain it? Okay, just assume that we export tea into USA and we import guns from USA. What are the products? We export tea and we export tea, we import guns. Now my topic, my concept is terms of trade. The simple meaning of terms of trade, by assuming that we produce only one product and we purchase only one product. By selling 1 unit of tea or 1 kilo of tea, how many guns you can purchase from USA? That is called terms of trade. I repeat, How many guns you can purchase for 1 kilo of tea? How many guns you can purchase for 1 kilo of tea? So that is called terms of trade. How do you technically define this? The purchasing power. Purchasing power, that is ability to purchase. Now, the term itself gives you the meaning. Purchasing power, power to purchase. Right? Terms of trade refers to the purchasing power of 1 unit of export. Right? It is the amount of imports you can purchase for 1 unit of export. Amount of imports a country can get for 1 unit of export. That is called import purchasing power of an export unit. That is it. Import purchasing power of an export unit. Export unit, when you export 1 unit of goods, how many goods you can import? Then what are the variables? Here you have export price and import price. Let's say 1 kilo of tea. Say $200. Just assume that. Gun, $100. Then you send 1 kilo of tea and purchase 2 guns. You can purchase more guns where your tea price is very high. Simply you can understand. How do you calculate it? Export price divided by import price. Export price divided by import price. You have this much of money, then you spend this much of money. How much is the quantity you purchase? Simply. But my children, remember, there's a problem. Though I have explained this concept with a single product, but it is impossible. Right? We export and import hundreds of goods. So that is the reason. Now, if you just look at the study text, look at the equation, terms of trade equals index of export prices, index of import prices, price index. You know, price index is prepared with the basket of goods, right? Into 100, right? But you understand the concept with single product, but remember technically how to calculate export price index divided by import price index. Now you can easily, there is another concept called income terms of trade. I don't want to put you into trouble with making complications. Income terms of trade, that is import purchasing power, export income. So you have this much of like certain amount of export income. From that export income, how much of imports you can make. That is the idea of that, right? Since they have not discussed the income terms of trade, I just focus on the terms of trade, only the commodity terms of trade. This is also called commodity, single product, the goods, not the income, right? Just take down terms of trade equals index of export prices, or you can say export price index, simply. Export price index divided by import price index into 100. Where you deal with price indices, we have to multiply by 100. Is a different process. I don't know whether you have learned it under the money and bank price indices, how to make it, and the applications. I don't take time to explain them here at this point. Okay. Now, there may be some questions, not the difficult ones. Favorable terms of trade and unfavorable terms of trade. If you have basic knowledge of maths, you can make it. Let's say your price, export price. Now in my example, $200. 1 kilo of tea, $200. One gun is $100. Now 200 divided by 100. Now that is our answer 2. How do you make favorable terms of trade? What factors influence? What factors influence favorable terms of trade? Your export price should be increased while import price remains constant. Export price increases, but import price remains unchanged. One situation. Let's say, okay, just assume that export price 100, import price also 100, $100, $100. Then you can purchase only one for one. Right. Now let's apply this one. Export price suddenly, kilo of tea, 1 kilo of tea, $200. Export price increased, but import price doesn't change. You can purchase more. That is increasing export price while import price remains constant. That is one situation. Second situation, other way around. Export price remains constant, but import price decreases. If import price decrease in import prices, while export price or export prices remain constant. Two situations. Number 3, increase in export price and decrease in import price or prices at the same time. I repeat, increase in export prices and decrease in import prices at the same time. Remember, export one increases, import one decreases. Right. Fourth one. Now think of increasing side. Export price increases at a higher rate than import prices. Both are increasing, but export price increases at a higher rate than. Say import price increased by 10%, export prices increased by 50%. Then still you have good purchasing power. Your terms of trade becomes favorable. Right? Then think of the decreasing side. Decreasing side, you get advantage where import prices decreases at a higher rate than the export prices. Why? You had to pay less amount. So likewise, there are 5 situations. I'm not going to repeat it. You can make it. Just read this one. Page number, write it down, page number 172. 172. Right, this is the first part of the international trade past question paper discussion. I will discuss another 2 parts. The next part, very important concept, exchange rate. Okay, students. Thank you very much for watching this. Let's discuss part 2 under the exchange rate.